Hey. Let me look at the chat here. See if I can find it. There we go. Who's in here? Can you guys hear me? Hey. Can everybody hear me okay? Sorry, I had some technical issues. I don't know what I did wrong. Blacksmiths. Ugh. Sweet. Video quality's good. I'm not all like, Awesome. Glad to see everybody's making it over. Sorry, like I said, I was having some technical issues. I don't know what I did wrong. I have no clue. I thought I knew. I did not. We'll let everyone on the internet know I'm over here. Yes, we're over here, Mark. Sorry. I'm so glad everybody found me. I felt so lost. Hey, while we're still waiting for some people to show up, I'm going to do a quick look around of where I'm at because I'm in a new spot. Spot you guys haven't seen before, you kids haven't seen before. So we're going to do a quick little turnaround tour of this shop that I'm at. So I'm at Soulcraft. It's a maker space. Lindsay found me. Good. It's a maker space in downtown Cleveland, Ohio. The Great Lake Erie is about not even a mile away. I think it's great. I teach all my blacksmithing classes here, and that's why I'm here today. I have a blacksmithing class that I call mini blacksmithing with kids 9 to 11. That's starting at 1:30. So there wasn't quite enough time for me to do a live at my house and then drive here to get the class going. So I just decided to do it here. All right. So I'm in this makerspace. It's called Soulcraft. If you follow me on my other social media stuff, you'll see pictures and see me post stuff about it and things. So I'm just going to do a quick turnaround so you can see kind of what the space looks like. All right, so I'm in the way back at the end of the building, the end of this part of the building. I'm in a great big old factory in downtown Cleveland. So all the way down there towards the light is the bay door and the main door to get in. All these little cubicles are different makers and different people who rent space here to make stuff. Leah found me. Excellent. They make stuff, mostly woodworking things happen. And then back here in the back where I'm at is where the metalworking things happen. So this is my kind of little space that it's not little. The space that I have. Here is a coal forge that I picked up recently that I'm going to be cleaning up. And we got a couple welding tables and welders. There's a Bridgeport mill. And over here is a thing they call wood storage, where they store wood and other things. So that's just a brief tour. There's more stuff down that way, but it's a gigantic factory here in downtown Cleveland, full of creative people and creative types and just little old me here. Is this where the glass blowers are? Who are demoing? No, I don't believe so. If it is, it's news to me. But I don't believe so. All right. So today, gosh, that's awful. So today, we're going to get things fired up. We're going to get things started. Now that everybody has kind of found me and things, we're going to be making a door handle. And we're going to be taking a solid piece of steel like so. This is 1 inch wide by 1/4 inch thick. I do not have metric or whatever other measurements there are in the world. I don't have those, sorry. But we're going to take a 12-inch piece and we're going to turn it into a door handle. When we're done, it will look something similar to this. So this is what we're going for. This is not the completed project, but it's pretty darn close. All right, so we're going to get the forge fired up. Over here behind me is the forge. We're running a propane forge. So propane comes down through here, through a tank, ignites inside this chamber, and gets everything nice and hot. So we're going to turn it on, there's going to be a whoosh sound. One part of this right here. We're getting started. So the first step that we have in the process of forging our door handles is we're going to heat up this bar of steel right here, and we're going to cut off a corner. We don't need all of this material. If I were to try to forge this down in here, I'd have too much material. So I can lose some material here. I can lose some of this material here. And so we're going to heat this up and whack it off on the cutoff hardy. You can use, like, I've got a piece prepped here. You can use an angle grinder to cut this corner off, right? If you've got it, use it. It's not being liberal, but I'm going to show you how to do that step with the hot cut. All right. Now, at any point you guys have questions, you girls have questions, ask them in the chat. I'm probably going to see them if I miss it, and if there are other Smiths in the chat, by all means, answer those questions for me and things. All right. So again, our first step is going to be to whack this off and then create points. We're going to make the ends pointy. All right? So we're going to get that process started. Forge all warmed up. And get things rolling. So we've had a great day of other videos. I watched some of Heidi's. I saw some of Ellen's. Some wonderful videos being done today. It's so awesome to be a part of this. I love doing this. I'm glad to be back after 4 months of not being able to be in the virtual craft show. So I love doing these. It's so much fun. I love the interaction. It's awesome. So while those are getting hot, we're going to adjust our camera angle. Question. Can you turn your back? Can't hear me. Oh no! That's no good. All right. I will do my best to not turn my back. Yes, thank you. All right. That makes me wonder about my microphone on my IsoTunes. All right, we're going to adjust the camera here. We're going to put it down here next to my anvil so you can see what I'm going to do. There we go. All right. So my IsoTunes isn't being picked up. All right. So I'll just talk louder then. Can everybody hear me? If I speak up, can you tell I'm not a professional YouTuber? I can't keep anything in the frame. All right, so real quick, while we're waiting for things to heat up, we got my hammer. The hammer that I typically use is a rounding hammer. So we have one side that's flat and one side that is rounded. And then the anvil that we're using today is a Vulcan or an Armin hammer. Gets that term because it's a cast anvil, so it's not as loud as your traditional kind of forged anvil. So, all right, I'm just going to turn off my ISO tube to make sure that's off, so I'm not wasting battery. There we go. All right, let's do this. So this first step, we're going to start a groove. We're going to get a groove on using a cutoff hardy, cut off a corner. I'm not looking to go all the way through, just looking to get some things started. Find the line. You can see that we're getting the groove. So back into the forge. Just to get things rolling. Just a second. Let that heat back up. All right. So again, we're cutting that corner and getting that ready so we can start our taper to get our anvil rolling. Here we go again. Nice and hot. Got to try to find the groove that you had started before. All right, so there's our groove. Again, any questions y'all have, please feel free to ask. The chat seemed to have disappeared. Now, the reason I chose this project is I've been doing a lot of craft shows and a lot of vending here during the summer months and spring. And so I've been getting a lot of requests for door handles and cabinet pulls. So this is my attempt to start build up a little product to fulfill those kind of requests. Great question about my anvil. What's the poundage? This is what was it, 175 pound anvil. It's really dense. I've got a couple 125 pounders here with me on either side that I let students use and things, and they're not as dense as this thing. It's tough. I have a hard time moving this guy at 175 pounds. So, but my other anvils, I don't have that issue. So that's one of the reasons this one stays here at Soulcraft, because I can't stand moving this thing. I use all the strengths to do that. But great question about the size of the anvil. So here we go. We're still not all the way through. See, we got some nice cuts going on. Right like that. Now eventually we go through I said before, doesn't matter if you use the cutoff hardy or if you use an angle grinder or not. But this is what we're looking for. So now we're going to start our taper. We want to forge this down to a point. So I'm going to take the rounded part of my hammer, start up here at the top, and start forging it down. See how quickly that turns into a point. Just like that. We're getting to the point. All right, so I'm gonna heat this up, taper it down again, and move this. As you can see, it's a little lopsided, right? More of an angle over here because that's where we cut. So this next heat, I'm going to hammer on this side and bring this point closer to the middle of the bar. Excellent. So again, we're making that door handle. We're working on forging that point. Things are going great. So another little story about this anvil. This is my very first anvil that I ever bought. I bought it about coming up maybe 30 years ago. Back when anvil prices were low and blacksmithing was more economic to get into. Everyone pretty much was using coal forges back in the day because propane forges, while they were around, they weren't very plentiful per se. But yeah, I bought this down in southern Ohio and had some other blacksmiths help me build a stand for it. And I got a vise that I traded labor with a Mennonite gentleman for, and we built a nice stand for it. It all works together. I got the vise mounted over here off screen. You'll see that later in the video. But this little anvil has traveled with me from southeastern Ohio. So like Columbus is kind of the middle of the state. So kind of down around there, all the way out to the Pacific Northwest, to an island called Orcas Island in the San Juan Island chain, down the California coast, and then back to southeastern Ohio. So had this in the back of my pickup truck because when I was driving out to Washington State, it was March, and I needed a little extra weight in my back of my pickup truck to go out there. And this little setup did a great job of providing weight driving over the Rockies in the wintertime. So it's traveled with me far and wide. I'll never give this anvil up. All right, here we go. And just like that, we're pretty close to being in the center of the bar. I'm drawing it out and lengthening it a little bit. The more I do that now, the more I lengthen this now, the better my curls, my little design on the end of my handle is going to go for me. So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing this. All right, if we look, we're almost in the center. So a few hammer blows at this low heat, and I'm going to get this as close to the center as I can. It's never going to be exact, but I want to be as exact as I can be. Now, next steps in our process. So we've got this nice and pointy, it's almost to the center, and now we're going to, what I would normally do is cool it off and draw a line down the center. And I come back here to kind of where my taper stops. So back to the original length, so 1 inch. Back where I can clearly see that it's still 1 inch wide. I draw a line and I mark all the way down the center the best I possibly can. And then I take a cutoff, or a cold cut take a cold cut chisel and I mark that line down there and just create a little groove that I can see. I stick it in my forge. And then I take a hot chisel. This is a hot chisel. I take this hot chisel and I follow that line that I've created. And I create a groove all the way down. Remembering that the glowy red thing on the anvil is not something that I want to touch. Saw a great question about why do I brush it. I'll get to that in just a second. That whole thing about having to strike while the iron is hot is true. All right. So now we have a nice clear line that I've created down to the tip of my point. Now I'm going to take an angle grinder and we're going to cut through that. I'm going to lock it here in my vise. So the reason I use a brush to brush off the metal. So metal, when it gets hot, produces scale. Scale is kind of oxidation, a little extra carbon coming off the metal. And if you don't brush it off, then it kind of sticks to the metal and messes with the finish. If you notice while I'm forging, little bits of it, little flakes, come off. I want to do an extreme close-up of it. Kind of see it there. It just looks like little metal powdery flakes, right? And it's all over the floor. And that's scale. And blacksmiths work pretty hard to keep that off the metal, or to keep the metal clean the best they can. That's why we use this metal brush. All right, I'm going to get the angle grinder set up real quick, and then we're going to cut our grooves. So I'm going to move the camera a little and get this next shot set up so you can see all the cool sparks flying while we cut down the center of our handle here. All right, there's that. Not sponsored. now that I've done that, I've cut this groove. Now, inevitably, I've been doing this lots and lots and lots of times, lots and lots and lots of years, but inevitably when I do this, it doesn't matter how good my measurement is, one side ends up thinner than the other. And we're remembering that this is still hot, so I don't want to touch it with the hand. All right, so the schedule's no longer today because it's usually in my description for these, but I messed up on the live. So if you go back to one of the other Cool Kid videos from today's live, you should find a schedule. I'm just a blacksmith who can't figure out the internet. So one of these sides is always a little thinner or thicker, and it doesn't matter what I try to do. The other reason I put a groove down the middle with a hot cut chisel is it's a visual line for me for when I'm cutting with my angle grinder. It helps me see, it's kind of like a guideline, so I know what I'm doing. All right, so removing the camera again, up. There was another question, but I didn't see it. Just joined. What's the purpose of the chain wrapped around the base of the anvil? Oh, good question. Just a second. All right. So if you look over there, you'll see another one of my anvils. This is a 100-year-old Peter Wright. Anvils traditionally have a nice bright ring to them. And that tells you about the rebound, and if it's in functioning order, it tells you all kinds of things as a blacksmith that we look for. But when you're doing hammering all day, and you're blacksmithing all day, that ring is a problem for your hearing. So blacksmiths take steps to dampen that ringing. It also, that's what the chain does. It helps dampen the ringing. It also helps secure the anvil to the stump as well. So it serves two dual purposes. Securing the anvil and dampening the ring. So if I ring this, and then here's the anvil I'm using today. I'm swinging the camera. This is another anvil. It's a Triton anvil. There's that nice bright ring. It's not quite as dampened as the others. So it's a big difference for my hearing. I hope that answers your question. All right, now that we've got that groove, we've cut the groove, we're going to take our cutoff hardy and we're going to split that open so we can work on those times. We're going to use a different pair of tongs. Here we go. So here's our cut. We're going to use the cutoff hardy. It's just going to act as a wedge because that's what it is. Simple machines doing their thing. Look at it go all the way. The members of my makerspace are back here looking at me funny. They're like, what is that crazy blacksmith doing? And we're going to heat it up and we're going to spread that out even more. All right. I'm going to move the camera. It's a little slightly different angle so you can see kind of some next steps of what I'm doing and how I'm going to spread this out. So we've got a V right now. We want to go to a T so that we can get in there and draw out these tines. We have to have enough material. This is the goal. So this is what we're working on right now. So we have our split. You can see it here. And these are the 2 tines, and we got to spread these out and draw them out so that we have enough material to make this cool design. And that's what we're doing. This is what blacksmiths refer to as a courtesy bend. It's a courtesy to get the other one out of the way. You can also play that song in your head. Move! Get out the way! Get out the way! Get out the way! If you are of that age and persuasion. So there's our T. Now, from here, there's lots of options, right? I could, in my hammer design, in my handle design, leave it like this, you know, make sure it's all even and all that jazz, and just leave it like this and say, that's my hammer, right? I could spread these out a little bit and do a bunch of tight curly cues and say, that's my handle, right? There's lots of options from here. It's really, really cool, all the various things that you can do when you take this material and split it, and now you have 2 ends that you can work. Lots of cool things that can be done. That's just one of the neat things about blacksmithing is there's just so many options to work on and to do from here. It's just so amazing. Woodworkers would still be sanding, but here we are forging away. There we go. It was a little stuck. We're going to jump up a hammer size or 2. So this hammer that I've been using so far in the demo is a rounding hammer. It's 1.25 pounds. It's not terribly heavy. But to start moving some of the material quickly and efficiently, I'm going to jump up to a 3.5 pound rounding hammer. It's the same style kind of hammer. One side's flat, one side's round. This one's just bigger and the round is more aggressive. So we're going to use that to start spreading the material. And again, at any point you have questions, please let me know. After this video is Steve Carvel, SKS Crafts. Go get ready to follow him. We're about halfway through the demo. Things are going great. Again, got questions? Please feel free to ask. And in this heat, it's important to continue to drink lots of coffee because it helps you maintain hydration and deal with the heat. Now we're going to start working on the individual tines.
quick pro tip. Yes, that's what you heard. Bigger hammer, moves metal a little faster, a little more differently. Quick pro tip. Oh, it's I'm going to guesstimate 8 inches, maybe 10 is how wide it is. I'll show that here in a second. Great question. When you're doing something like this, now I want the ends of these to be pointy, right? That's the goal. But this material out here is thinner than this material back here. So this is, we split this side, I've drawn this out, I've lengthened this now. When I go to do this, I'm going to focus my hammer blows, most of my attention back here, because this part is way thicker than this part up here, right? So if you ever have the opportunity to do this, think about that. This is where the mass, most mass is. We want to move that forward. So we want to push that material out. That's what we've done here. Hence the bigger hammer as well. It also helps with speed, efficiency when doing this. I can do the same process with my 1.25 pounds. It's just going to take me a little longer. So I jumped up to here to the 3.5 pounder for the demo purposes and to move material quickly and efficiently. So we're going to do it one more time. I'm going to show you the forge. Where is it? There it is. So there's the forge that we're using. Let me move the camera closer. All right, so I don't have a banana for scale, but I'm going to say 8 to 10 inches. 8 to 10 inches. All right, we're coming back over here. Blinded by the light. All right. Same time that we were working on before. All right, so next steps, we would continue to draw out either side. We have to have a lot of material to get the design that we're looking for. And if we look at our goal, this is the goal. This is what we're shooting towards, okay? So we gotta put a curly Q here and a squiggle up here. So this side has to be longer than this side, all right? And you can achieve that lots of different ways. Sometimes I end up cutting off a little bit of the end when doing this, stuff like that. So those are all things you have to consider. How much material are you going to use or need? What's the length? I don't have a set number to give you. I don't have the inches or the millimeters or any of that. It's just a guess. And so I've got another piece that I've drawn out, and we're going to start putting this design in. So we're going to come over here to the horn of the anvil. And the horn is where all the bending happens. The horn is like a fulcrum. So when I'm doing this, I'm not hitting the horn, I'm hitting just past the horn. All right, it's just about ready. Again, any questions, feel free to ask. All right, now one of the things I did that I haven't shown you is I bent the shorter side way down. Happy little curls, light hammer blows, nothing too crazy, happy little curls, small forward progressions. Keep a hold of the material, Tim. Don't drop it. I dropped it like it was hot. Gravity check. Gravity is on. Have I done Damascus? Was that the question? It faded away right there at the last second. It was something about Damascus. So here's our curl. It's coming along. Let me see if I can see this. These questions. No, I can't see it. Somebody type something real quick so that the question pops up. All right. Have I made Damascus door handles? No, not Damascus door handles. I've made Damascus before. It's been about 20 years or so, but yeah, I've made Damascus. I mainly do ornamental ironwork, so I make things like hooks and bottle openers, fireplace tools, the pretty stuff, the decorative stuff is what I like to make. I don't do a lot of, oh, thank you, Tipsy Jerk. I don't do a lot of blade work. I've done it, but it's just something that isn't my main thing. It's fun, it's important to know, but yeah. Thinking it might color the beard pink for my girls. Do it. All right, coming back, curling. Hey, I'm like talking to people around the world here, Jim. All right, there's one side. We're gonna cock this in a little more and keep going. All right. I gotta remember not to do that. Excellent. I've got a peanut gallery now. All right, so again, this is what we're working towards. This is the side that we're working on right now. So we'll get this in place and then do this. We're gonna move this down. I'm just using light hammer blows to get this in place. Couple hammer blows, stop. Couple hammer blows, stop. And take a look. So that's about where I want it. Happy little curl. Now we're going to heat this side up and bring it around to make our fillet. All right. Everything going well still? Everybody can hear me? All that jazz? We are hitting the home stretch. We got about 15 minutes and we'll be done. So again, after this, Steve Carvel, SK Crafts is up after me. You should go get ready for him too. Because I messed up the live, that link is not in there. Sorry, blacksmiths and the internet don't always go well together. Similar process to before, except I'm gonna come further back and start the bend in the back to bring it around. So we're heading that way. I need more of a bend. That's not going to quite do it. All right, so we're going to start fixing that. So I'm going to heat it back up and straighten it back out. So I've got a pair of tongs called strolling tongs. They're rounded. I've got a big set. And I got a big set. Help me when I'm doing curls and doing little stuff like this. I guess it's not really little. All right. Now we're going to get more of a bend. There we go. Now the next step, if you look in here, right, we got a lot of overhang over here. This isn't as tight in here. Too much gap in here. So I'm going to work on this part. When I bring it around, it's going to adjust some of this. And in this part of the project, there's a lot of fidgeting going on. A lot of figuring it out and what it looks like and how you want it to look. A lot of fidgeting to go on with this. All right, we're about at the 10-minute mark. There. All right, so a lot more fidgeting to do. To get to here, all right, but we're running out of time to do some of that. So next steps, I'm going to come over to the vise and I'll show you how I get this to be a handle formation, all right? I'm going to demo this part, but it's not going to be hot. I'm just going to tell you how I did it because of the time that we're running out on. So I'm moving the camera. All right. So with this glowing red, I would decide which side is my front, the part that people are going to hold on to, and the back, all right? So I would set the side that people are going to hold on to away from me. Determine the length of material. And while this is hot, this will be straight up and down. I would take my hammer and I would strike in here, and at the same time with my tongs, start pulling it back. And this is how I get this bend. And here, this L shape, zigzag. That's how I do that. The other way to do it, that I've done in the past, is we come over here. I have a blacksmithing tool called a swage block. It has different designs and bowls and radiuses in it. So I would use this, see this, to help me get this design, this curvature. Another great blacksmithing tool. And then I would do the same thing to this side. I would set this down, set it in here, and while it's hot, I would strike down in there. All right. Yeah, if you're looking for the playlist of who's next and what's happening next, if you go to JP's or anybody else's videos who's been streaming today, they'll have it. I don't have it, I'm sorry. All right. So, that is, oh, camera, what's going on? Essentially the demo, practically completed. So we got some time for some questions. Does anybody have any other questions that they'd like to ask? I'm gonna turn off the forge real quick. Ooh. Don't realize how loud that is until you turn it off. Tell it's gotten a little warmer in here. You guys have any questions or anything? All right, remember after this is SK Crafts. He's on YouTube. Go find him. What forge am I using? I'm using a Whisper Daddy, Whisper Mama gas forge. And it's a manufactured forge here in the US. I bought it from another smith and relined it. I went with a manufactured forge because I'm afraid that I would blow myself up when trying to make one. And I've got a rule against blowing up. That's like rule number one, no explosions. So yeah, I'll post pictures in a couple days probably of the finished product all shined up. Last steps I kind of mentioned, and then I would hit it with a wire wheel on the angle grinder, and I like to put a clear coat of varnish on it. So great. How many burners? There's 2 burners on these. It is my personal opinion, Tim's opinion, that when it comes to gas forges, you don't need any more than 2. I don't care what you're making. Unless you got some crazy railing job where you need to put like lots of twists in your metal, you might need 3 burners then. But it's my personal opinion, you don't need any gas forge over than 2. Hey, thank you all for the kind words. Thank you for being patient with me when I try to figure this out. So we got 5 minutes left. Happy to answer questions. I'm gonna grab my coffee cup real quick and cool off some. It gets pretty warm. So, and I've got a class coming up after this, a mini blacksmithing class where we take 9 to 11-year-olds, teach them some basic blacksmithing. We're going to be making hooks with their parents. I teach classes here in downtown Cleveland. So if you're interested, come find me, The Urban Forge, on Instagram. Thank you so much, everyone. Come follow me. I'm always doing cool stuff. I do demos, I do talks, I teach classes. If you have a group who might be interested in blacksmithing or
historical stuff. I'm happy to do that sort of thing. Love doing that as well. So yeah. All right, I'm gonna grab my coffee. Thank you, Adam. All right, my shopmates are like, finally, he's not yellow. We got some cool stuff coming down the pipe. I'm only going to be on for about another minute and a half maybe. Some cool stuff coming down the pipe. I've got some classes. I've got some demos coming. Some cool projects. These door handles are, the reason I'm doing these is a request from people at shows that I've been setting up to sell my wares at, who have been looking for specialty hardware. So I'll be doing, that's why I'm making these. Yeah. All right. Looks like that's the time. So thank you so much, everybody. Have a good one. Stay cool out there, and we'll chat at you later. Remember, be excellent to each other.